Next level, leagues above the devil. Flying higher than they said I would, they label me a rebel. Bogota barely as dope as me. Success the only thing that give me dopamine. A legend, the only thing that I'm supposed to be. Everything's the only thing that's owed to me. Yeah, I want it all, my baby. I didn't come to watch, I came to ball, my baby.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Drift Masters Championship. My name is Becky Evans and we are live on Red Bull TV and we are here at round 3 at the Power Park in Finland. Yes, drifting is a roller coaster and we've brought you right here. We have got an incredible top 32 coming up for you. We've had some adverse weather this morning, but we're ready to get the action going, and the rain has finally stopped. So let's take a look at our calendar for this season so far. We've had round 1 and 2, with Italy being cancelled and Spain throwing up our first winner of the year, Oliver Randol. We're here now at round 3 at the Power Park in Finland. We head next to the House of Drift at Mondello Park, and then it's Riga, baby. We head back to Bukhaniki Trasa in Latvia. Then to the Iron City, Germany for round 6 at Ferropolis, and then finally round 7. All roads lead to Poland with the PGE Narodowe, which is our big Red Bull final for the year, where we are going to have a huge showdown. I absolutely can't wait for that. So let's take a look around our paddock. It's been pretty wet this morning, which some of our drivers are going to be not hoping to have on the track. So let's take a look at what happened in Spain last year, because you're gonna have to figure out what happened last time.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 2 of the Drift Masters Championship 2025.
That was really bad, I'm sorry.
From beautiful sunny Madrid in Spain, time for talk is over. The road to the championship begins. There was some problem in our qualifying showdown. James Dean unable to slow that car down. That meant that Piotr Wojciech would not be able to compete in the top 32 due to that car taking on so much damage. It doesn't stop getting heavier every single run. It'll be Lauri Heinonen to take on Oliver Randol. Heinonen not really putting himself in the fight, and I think Heinonen panicked a little bit there. He's shortcutting the circuit massively. Randol fires all these outside zones through the checklist and across the line. Oh, he's got a D-bead. So there we go. And I knew this was going to happen. It's going to be Oliver Randol, ladies and gentlemen, who takes it through. We go straight into another heavy one. It is Conor Shanahan to face off against Jack Shanahan for a spot in the final 4.
Both drivers at full pace all the way through. No holds bars, no caring, no sympathy whatsoever. Just great tandem from the Shanahans.
It's going to be Jack Shanahan getting the win, advancing through to the final 4, and Conor couldn't be happier. James Dean isn't on the start line. He's back in the paddock with spark plug issues. Randol now starts to put on a protest. Oliver Randol gives a signal to say it's been 2 minutes. Randol leaves the line and James Dean is disqualified at the line. James Dean, he accepts the fate and says, look, what can I do? So there we go, they sit on the line ready to go. Shanahan pulls into the chase position, the thumbs go up either side, the door slams shut, the cars go into gear and they come off the line under the green light. It will be Randol to lead out Jack Shanahan. Only one spot in the final awaits, and look at that, a strange initiation for Randol. Massive understeer for Jack Shanahan, he has to shut it down.
Could be that belt issue that we saw earlier, ended up being power steering.
Oliver Randol gets the win, advances through to the final. Jack Shanahan will face off against Kevin Pesur in the 3rd and 4th place playoff. Let's get to our final battle of the day. This is it. The road to the championship begins for one of these drivers. Who could it be? The light goes green. Ite starts to creep off the line already. Oliver Randol slams through the gears as BMW goes against BMW. They fire in. Identical initiation. Randol almost straight lines. There's that much grip in the car. And he fires into outside zone 4. Puts the car where it needs to be. And Ite so there has nothing at the moment. He's not in the conversation. Randol is a man possessed as he puts that car right to the edge of the circuit from angle to angle. Well, here we go, they're on track, arm in arm, because for both of these guys it's a dream come true. But who will be the round 2 winner? Slide them left for Randol, right for Sada. It's going to be the man from Estonia, Oliver Randol, does it. He wins his first ever round of Drift Masters and takes the top step on the podium. Oliver Randol wins round 2 of Drift Masters here in Spain 2025. It's a Sada. He did everything he could, but Randol was the man this weekend to get the job done.
I've managed to catch up with Peter Viensek, who managed to take 3rd spot in qualifying yesterday with a 97.25. Now, this is a tricky track. It's not always been your favorite track. You haven't had the best time here, have you?
Yeah, in the past we had a lot of stories that we wouldn't like to repeat, but overall, this time looks good for us. I'm happy about my qualification run. And yeah, it's probably going to be wet for the whole show, and fingers crossed it's going to stay like that, because the last thing that we want to experience is a passage condition. So fingers crossed that it's going to simply be wet, and that we'll be able to figure it out ourselves in those conditions. But we'll see in top 32.
What is your car like to drive in the rain? I mean, I know lots of different chassis have different attitudes, but what is the Supra like for you?
It's actually good. It's really nice. The front is always in a good connection with the ground, which is that's what we want to have simply. And so it's easy to steer the car in those conditions. But as always, once it's wet, you need to be super focused, because one little mistake can knock you out. You know, it's drifting, so that it is what it is.
Okay, Peter, well, good luck in your top 32, and we'll see you very soon. All right, guys, let's take a wander through here. I'm so glad that the rain has stopped. Drifting is always way more fun when it's not raining, but it definitely sorts the good drivers from the not so good drivers, because you really have to have car control. Let's have a run down here to find Lauri Heinonen, and we have some incredible machinery in the paddock. I mean, the Black Smoke Racing, these Mercedes, I mean, I've never seen diesel power like it, but this thing is absolutely crazy. Carbon everywhere. Wow. I mean, it's a machine. It seems to be doing some fairly hectic surgery in there as well. Let's take a wander up here. I'm seeing so many Finnish fans around the place rocking all of our Finnish drivers' merch. It's incredible to see. Lauri Heinonen had an amazing time here last year. He actually won and then went on to win at the championship. So this is a track that is familiar to him, one that he's comfortable at, and one that he will be looking to put himself on the top spot for. Here he is, having a chat. Let's bring our way round through here. Lauri. Hello, Lauri. How are you? How is your car running today after you had a few issues yesterday? We had a chat with you after you did your qualifying run, and you said that the exhaust had pretty much come off because it was sounding very different.
Yeah, it sounded really bad. We welded the exhaust back on, and then it was fine. Yeah.
Okay. And how are you feeling ahead of today? I mean, the rain always throws up different situations for people. Are you pretty confident in the rain?
Yeah, I like driving in the rain, but I feel sorry for all the people here. But yeah, I think it'll be a good show.
No, I absolutely believe that as well. And can you tell us, is there anything that you need to change setup-wise on this car for when you take on a wet track?
Actually, we don't have any wet setup, so it's just the same. Like just maybe a tire pressure, maybe a bit lower. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, Lauri, we're looking forward to seeing you in the top 32, and we'll catch up with you in just a little bit. Right, guys, we're going to run through here. Okay, let's take a wander through. I'm running. Let's catch up with one of our younger drivers here, Mr. Conor Falvey. Let's take a look through here. Okay. Here we are, Conor. Come here. Conor, you had a great day yesterday. Obviously, you put an 86 on the board, first of all, and you were like, that's not good enough for me, and you went out there and put a 90.5 on the board. Yeah. It was an excellent showing for you. What are your thoughts ahead of today? You're an Irish driver, so you're used to the rain.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure of all the wet days down on my home track now, but I got a 91.5 and I was delighted until I looked at the bracket and found out I'm against Conor Shanahan, the 2023 champion. So it's going to be a tough battle, but me and Conor are great friends outside of drifting, so it'll just be a good battle. We'll give it everything. We have nothing to lose, so we'll just give it absolutely everything.
I believe you'll give it absolutely everything you've got there. Very, very best of luck for your top 32. And Conor Shanahan, this is a round that you're really looking to put yourself on the top spot here. You're looking very confident out there. How are your thoughts ahead of the top 32?
Yeah, obviously I wish it was dry. It's going to be hard now to read the weather. Raining, not raining, sun is shining right now. I'm at the last battle of the top 32, which I feel like could be the worst place because of patchy conditions, but it's going to be a hard one, to be honest. I think if it's going to rain again, I'd rather for the rain right now. But I'm looking forward to this battle. Conor has been a guy that we obviously have known for, I guess, pretty much my whole drifting career. As a kid, running around, following his father, and now he's here, following his footsteps and stuff, so it's pretty cool. But these guys are very, very hard to battle because it's very, you know, I know how good he is, but it's also he can be a lot better, you know, because of hunger. I remember being that age and I know what it's like to beat someone, you know, when you're trying to chase and trying to, you know, I remember the days of following James, following Jack, being like, I can be better than these guys, you know, and giving it everything. So I think Conor's going to give me a really, really big battle here. But as always, we're Irish, we support each other. I help him as much as I can. He's a great kid. And let the best man win. That's the goal. Let the best guy win. If he's good enough to beat me today, I'll shake his hand and be happy for him.
Excellent. Well, good luck at your top 32, Conor. Right, guys, that is a quick rundown, quick chat with our drivers, but we're going to get straight on with our top 32. I'm going to hand you up to the kings of the commentary box, Ian Waddington and Jacob Gettins. Guys, it's going to be a wet one, I think.
Thank you very much, Becky. Yes, it is going to be a wet one because we are high in the sky right there in the top of that little building you can see in front of you on your screens, and we can see all of the clouds as they roll in across the flatlands of Finland. But look, we're not worried about the rain because we're dry. All of the drivers are worried about the weekend weather, and it has been a wet one. Overnight, all morning, these guys have been getting seat time in the wet parts of the track, flooded. It's been that bad. But nevertheless, the show goes on, and these guys are going to have to put it on show. As you can see, machinery on circuit, cleaning off that excess water, trying to get rid of those bits of rubber, that bits of debris that's been sitting on there. But let's take a look at the weekend schedule. Top 32 starts right now at 12:45 p.m. and local time, and top 16 kicks off at 4:50 p.m. local time. You're not going to want to miss this because who knows what's going to happen. I can see the clouds rolling in right now. It could stay wet. It could end up being dry. The driver's saying right now that they prefer it to be wet from here all the way through to the top 16 to the final. Jacob, it's been a roller coaster here at the Power Park in Finland.
Yeah, it's been nuts. I mean, the qualifying was incredible. Now, once we get into battles, having all the dynamicism that comes with having a wet track and a slightly dry track and patchy, absolutely crazy. But thankfully, we don't have to worry too much about it because we've got our hands in, or we've got the event in the hands of our incredible judges, and their decisions are really what are going to make up this entire event.
It certainly is. So we're going to hand it over to David Kalas, our speaking judge for this weekend. David, it's been a tough one yesterday. It's going to be a tough one today.
Yeah, we knew that it will be tough one yesterday, and today it looks it will be even worse. We were hoping for nice conditions and completely flawless battles, but unfortunately the weather was thinking different. We will need to adjust slightly our judgment based on the conditions, so we will be very closely watching how the track looks. We are having our people back on the track who will be checking for us the conditions and telling us the information about it. But the way how we will be judging it is the same how it was before. So the lead driver needs to do what he was doing yesterday, filling all the clipping zones, maintain consistent angle, and drive so the chase car can follow. That means following the deceleration, avoiding the no-go zone, which is marked in red on the track, and do perfect lead run. Then we are having the chase driver, and chase driver is having only one clipping point on the track, and that is the leader. He doesn't care about all the zones, he's just following the leader wherever he goes. He's trying to mimic the angle, mimic the line, and follow as close as he can. The zones are just hints for him where the leader will be moving.
Well, thank you very much, David. Yes, and as always, David Kalas, Werner Sverneveld and Matthias Jejes in the judging booth. Let's take a look, though, at that track that these guys have got to take on. Yesterday it was dry. It was perfect weather conditions. Look, here we go. Off the start line, through the gears. First, second, third. Big clutch kick across the circuit. Then to that first outside zone, right on the edge of that rumble strip. Then it's in to a complete wall, that long outside zone 2, before they start to bring the front of the car in to inner zone 3. They flick that car, missing that no-go zone to put the back end on the wall outer zone 4. A nice long transition down into outside zone 5 before they pick up the pace once again and come up the hill to 6 and across the line on the wall at outside zone 7. It seems easy. There's a lot of bumps, there's a lot of camber changes, there's a lot of tarmac changes at this circuit, and in the wet it can be more difficult than it can be in the dry, as we've seen in previous years. But let's take a look at the battle tree for today. For me, some standout battles. Dean versus Nasser Alh Harabali. Not the first time they met in competition. Last time, Nasser Alh Harabali said to me both cars caught on fire, so that could be not happening today with the wet conditions. Jacob, some of the battles that we pointed out yesterday were just electric.
Yeah, one of them right off the bat is Tor Arne Kvia and Benedictus Cirba. I think that is going to be just an epic head-to-head. Two drivers that really, really like to go hard and push each other to the limit. And then the final battle of top 32, which might be the most exciting coming up, Conor Shanahan, Conor Falvey. Yeah. That is going to be electric.
Well, I mean, look, what a way to end our top 32 with an incredible battle. Two young guns, a former champion, a man that's trying to get back to a championship, and a young rookie of the year in 2024, trying to gain his first ever championship, going up against a man that's done it all and has the name on the side of the car. Look, this time for talking is over. As we always say, cars are warming up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for top 32. Well, here we go. James Dean sits on the line in that lead position alongside Nasser Alh Harabali, a man, like we say, that he's met in competition before. But yesterday, it didn't go James Dean's way. That qualifying showdown gave us a little brief look into what can happen in top 32. James Dean saying to me earlier on the grid, though, you can't really take everything into that consideration because the cars are built and set up ready for qualifying. They aren't dialed in. The grip's not changed. There's no suspension changes ready for top 32. So they're just going out there on those qualifying setups, which might not be optimum for top 32. James Dean just saying, can someone help me shut the door there? But yeah, look, these cars now are ready to go. They are in full battle mode. These guys would have been practicing in the wet conditions all morning. James Dean saying, look, it is better than last year. We see a lot of issues on outside zone 2 with serious amounts of rubber. That rubber overnight has been dragged up off the track. So it is just a wet track now, but still, who knows what's going to happen. Here we go. They get the green light ready to go, and the first battle of top 32 is underway. Dean to lead out Nasser Alh Harabali as the pyro fires off at the side of the track. Dean kicks that skyline, that Mustang across the circuit and gets into it. Look at this, he's going to open the door for Nasser Alh Harabali. He knows that James Dean has almost a perfect lead run as he puts foot to floor, tries to find the side of that RTR Mustang as they fire through the no-go zone. Nasser Alh Harabali taking use of all of the circuit available. As Dean comes down the hill, he's going to try and put that Mustang right to the edge of the circuit, and he does. Sticks it on that perfect qualifying line. Up the hill he comes, puts that car right where it needs to be. Look at Harabali though, on the door, but too much contact, puts himself into a spin.
Yeah, really tough. I mean, these drivers spend a lot of time getting ready for this in the wet, and we're seeing already that it's patchy, which patchy is the most difficult because you don't know where it's going to grip up and it's going to change between each run. James Dean, legendary, driving in wet conditions. Coming out of Ireland, it's just something that they've lived with, something they prepared for. James Dean puts down a clinic in this lead run, does everything he needs to do. Nasser needs to figure out where the grip is on this track. Thankfully, in the chase, and a lot of drivers were telling me this, that a slightly inside line, there's a little bit more traction. Not a ton, but when you are chasing, you're trying to find that traction. A lot of the things that you need to do to get around this track in the dry don't really work here now. If you do something like a left foot brake, you can over-rotate the car very, very quickly. So it's very touchy, very dicey, but James Dean out front looks great. And Nasser, everything looked good for him until this point. Got a little bit too aggressive, loops the car around, but then you see, lights up the tires, get some smoke going. It looked like more than steam to me. Yeah. So that tells me that spot right there could be a difference maker.
A fun fact about this track, when the wind comes in, the breeze starts blowing across the surface of the track, it dries very, very quickly. Well, here we go, second run underway. Harabali to lead out Dean as they fire in to that second outside zone. Dean giving him some room. That Mustang's not getting too close and personal. Dean would have been on the radio to the spotters, and spotters saying to him, look, you've got this one in the bag. Don't go too over-aggressive. Just keep yourself in contention, put on a good chase as Harabali now trying to do everything he can to get away from that Ford Mustang as they come down the hill. Harabali puts it right where it needs to be. Now Dean starts to apply the pressure as they go for the transition into that final outside zone, up onto the bank, and Harabali can't deal with it and spins once again.
Same spot. I mean, almost identical. You can see where he looped it on the first run. A little bit further back now, but something's going on in that spot. I mean, some of it's going to be on Nassar, but I do think there is just a very rapidly changing condition there. So really, really tough. But James Dean, as you said, knows what he needs to do in this case. Just has to put down a solid chase run. Don't get too aggressive. Don't make any major mistakes. And once again, Nassar had a solid run. I really think, you know, if he didn't spin, he would have been pretty much in contention for this battle. And unfortunately, to finish first you have to finish, and 10 feet short of that is just not enough here.
Yeah, exactly that. Quite strange what's going on there with Harabali. And I would, it's hard to say because Dean made it through there. It looked like he was going to make it through there, both passes of the circuit. So I'm unsure what happens to Harabali's car as he gets up onto the bank. It's just like the car loses all grip in the rear and he just can't handle it.
Yeah, it's weird. He gets on throttle there, and
yeah,
I don't know. It looks like the front end is pivoting pretty hard, so I don't know if he just naturally wants to left foot brake that section, and then that's it. It just pivots around those tires, but happens. You don't want it to happen. Even the fans there, you can see just,
Yeah.
You always want it to be a heads-up battle if you're going to win.
Oh, exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So there we go. Both guys out of the car, and Dean saying, what happens up there?
Yeah. Just for future reference.
Just for future reference. Is it greasy? So here we go. Slide of left for Harabali, right for James Dean. We know what way this is going to go, and it is James Dean. It gets the win and advances through to the top 16.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be expected. Other driver loops it twice. It's
of course
pretty open and shut on that one, but
well, if you're spinning, you're not winning.
Yeah, if you're spinning, you're not winning. I like that.
There we go. Dean takes that Mustang back to the paddock. We're going to move it along with our next battle of the day, and it will be, and there it is. And you know, I heard a rumour that this was going to be there.
Oh, really?
This is the piston from the engine of Diogo Correa's BMW.
Oh, no way.
Changed the cylinder head 3 times on the car, and they rebuilt the engine overnight to get Diogo Correa back out for top 32. But he has a big contender alongside him, a man that is local to the track. Finnish driver Juha Rintanen sits alongside Diogo Correa from Portugal, and look at the nerves inside the car for Diogo Correa, wondering, will that car hold together? And the double fist pump, as always, from Rintanen, slams the car into gear. The Finnish fans are on their feet. They want to see a Finnish driver get into the top 16 as Correa goes to lead out Rintanen for a spot in the top 32. In the top 16, sorry, as they come off the line nice and slow. Pyro fires up. Look at this from Rintanen, a straight line approach, straight onto the back bumper, onto the side. With Diogo Correa's BMW E92 as they fire in, Diogo Correa into the wall, puts the back end in there, upsets the steering a little bit, but stays in it. As Rintanen now keeps his cool, stays with him as they transition through the centre of the circuit, come down onto outside zone 4. Rintanen now starting to lose a little ground. Will he gain it up on this transition? Will he make that big brave dive? And he does. He starts to pull back in onto the rear bumper of that BMW as he flicks it up into that final outside zone. Both guys make it through. Correa into the wall and into Rintanen.
Yeah, that last zone, I mean,
could be the decider for most of the battles today.
I really think so. And look at the damage. Oh man. Correa, really good, solid run here out in the lead, and Juha Rintanen does a great job. He is such a veteran, such a pro when it comes to this, knows how to chase effectively. I mean, another driver who's really, really good in the rain, and does a great job. Knows not to get in too deep, not to overcommit to any of these. Diogo looked good up until that last zone, and that puddle there, that's going to play a big factor because you can almost see where the line was yesterday. Drivers were using that part of the track. Now they're going to have to be a lot more shallow, as we see some in-car there from Diogo. Oh, that is a rough hit, and that is not something that's going to be easily repaired. But you can see there, whole wheel in, and that second hit from Juha, who in the chase had nowhere else he could go.
Yeah, he was sandwiched between the wall and a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
He was literally between a rock and a hard place, and you can see the rear wheel there on that slow-mo shot as he hit the wall, just completely folded in the rear suspension. There was nothing he could do, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like Correa will not be able to take part in the second half of the battle. And there we go. He pulls off the circuit, and the clock ticks down to 0 as he will not make it back to the start line.
Oh, wow. That really shows just how much damage is there.
Yeah, and there we go. We're not even...
Oh, there he's trying. I mean, he's trying.
Yeah, no, so there we go. Judges deem it too unsafe to let Diogo Correa run. No buy run needed for Rintanen. Rintanen advances through to the top 16. And Rintanen will take that one.
Yeah. Yeah, tough go, but the upside for every driver coming behind them is they know that is a really tricky spot on track. It's treacherous. There's something going on there, whether it's just really slick in one spot and dry in the other.
Well, this is the thing. The spotters now going to be saying to the drivers, look, that final outside zone, when you get high on the bank and you start to get into that zone, it could be slipperier than anywhere else on the circuit. Yes, James Dean made it through, but James Dean yesterday put on a 98.5 qualifying run.
Yeah.
That man can deal with anything. For some of these drivers that don't get that high up in the championship, that are only just finding their feet, the spotters might be saying to him, you need to be very, very careful on that final outside zone, because we don't know what's going on until you've gone through there and give us back the information.
Yeah, it's tough when you're one of the first battles up. I mean, especially first thing in the morning, especially we got a big flood of rain just before we started this. Then it dries up a little bit. Just ever-changing conditions, so you got to make notes wherever you can, as we see Pavel Korpulinski really warming those tires up. The drivers were given a little bit extra time to get everything warmed up because of the rain. And, I mean, Pavel using all of it, just get the tires warm, get them ready to go.
Well, there we go. On the line, Kevin Piscotti to take on Pavel Korpulinski. Hungary versus Poland on the start line, ready to rock and roll. We know that Korpulinski is an incredible line driver.
Yeah, and Korpulinski choosing to chase on this one. So
yeah, I was just going to say, switching it up. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that new rule coming in for 2025, the higher qualifier can choose whether they lead or chase first. Korpulinski taking the opportunity to chase first and saying to Kevin Piscotti, show me how good that lead line is.
Yeah, and
show me where the slippery parts of the circuit are.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really smart to do that.
It's smart. That's what it is. It's smart because if you get into that final outside zone and you spin or you hit the wall, then you say, well, I know what I need to do now in the lead. Here we go. They're off the line, ready to rock and roll. It's Korpulinski to take on Piscotti. Piscotti to lead first as they come through the gears down. Big clutch kick in that BMW E92 as he flicks it across the circuit. Pavel Korpulinski looks for the opening, looks for the door, shallows up the angle a little bit. He's not going to play too dangerous here as Piscotti bounces the back end of that BMW on and off of that outside zone on the wall. They fire through the middle of the circuit, and you can see Korpulinski playing safe, very safe indeed. And Kevin Piscotti just tickles the back end off the end of that wall. He's picking up the pace now as he comes down the hill, keeps it clean, drops a wheel into that big puddle on the edge of the circuit. Korpulinski dives onto the front wheel, onto the door, no problems this time for both guys across the line.
I think because of the banking there, the water ran off there really quick, and it's drying up in certain parts, but maybe not right at the very top of it.
Yeah.
There seems to be either just the water coming off the blocks or something like that, but it's patchy. Either way, Kevin Piscotti, great run there, knowing that spot's going to be nasty. Powers through it, does a great job, and does an amazing job through all of these zones. Using that wall, we're seeing a lot of drivers do this, kind of using the wall and running it deliberately, grinding the back end of the car around just to make sure that they can get through the entire run without some sort of issue. But Pavel Korpulinski in the chase starts to back off a little bit near the end of the run and then realizes, oh, I'm getting too far back, and then starts to shoot back in at the very final few zones. So little bit to be improved on there, and I do think there's a chance that he doesn't take home the win just because of that. So we'll see.
Well, all to play for in the second half of the run as they flick through the gears and flick the cars from left to right as they fire in. Pavel Korpulinski now puts the back end of that Nissan 206 into that outside zone. And look at this from Piscotti, no holding back. He knows that he could be in contention. But this one, both guys put the back end into the wall, smoosh the back bumpers off the wall. Look at this from Piscotti trying to get traction out of that outside zone and get himself back onto the door of that Nissan as they fire down the hill. Piscotti looking once again to pull and try and dive onto the side of Pavel Korpulinski's S14 as they fire up the hill, both on the wall, both across the line.
Yeah, it's really starting to dry up there, so we can see the smoke coming off. That might be a sign of what's going to happen with the rest of the track here, but Pavel Korpulinski, I think choosing to chase first was the right call here.
Yeah.
I really do. He figured out what the track was going to be like in the chase, where if you make a mistake, it can kind of be a little bit overshadowed. You can get away with really trying to figure out what the track is like. But now being in the lead really has this dialed. But Kevin Piscotti doesn't let him get away at any point throughout this run, which can't be said the same for Pavel, who did. He left a little bit more of a gap on his run, so it's going to go back and forth. But I'm really stoked to see how Kevin Piscotti has developed, has gotten much better as a driver over the last couple of seasons as well. Really developed a driver that's kind of waiting for that opportunity to make it into top 4 really pushing the pace here. So I don't know. I really don't know which way this is going to go, but seeing how Kevin Piscotti has developed, especially over the last couple of seasons, has been really, really cool to see.
It certainly has, yeah. And I remember Kevin Piscotti turning up to Hungary in 2018 and saying to his friends and his family, one day I'm going to drive a Drift Masters.
Yeah.
And here he is.
Yeah, I mean, last season finishing 7th, that's a massive, massive improvement in a very short period of time.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Piscotti just missing out on those podiums, desperate to get some of those trophies in the cabinet. Could this be a weekend of redemption after heartbreak in Spain where he hit the wall? Who's he going to go to this weekend as the judges' score drops in? Left for Korpulinski, right for Piscotti. That's 1 vote for Korpulinski. It's going to be Pevk Korpulinski. Korpulinski gets the win and Piscotti gets sent home. The Hungarian driver once again not being favoured. And look what it means to Pevk Korpulinski. Those treacherous weather conditions out there, the track not 110%. These guys, they're playing with fire every time they get in the car because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it really shows how incredible these drivers are, because at the level and the amount of horsepower that these cars have, and especially when we get into the turboed cars, the power just comes on immediately.
Yeah.
So you go from a little bit of wheel spin to 100 kilometers an hour out of nowhere. It's very, very difficult to do, and they are making it look quite easy.
They certainly are making it look easy. We go back on the start line to Kevin Pesur and Marco Zakouril. Pesur on the podium, 3rd spot. In Spain, here we want to keep a hold of those points in the championship at the moment, sitting 3rd in the championship, and look at him, laser focused as always, windows in the car for the rain, glances across to make sure that everyone's ready to go. Marco Zakouril, though, a man that's been working tirelessly on his program and the engine platform and the car and his driving, trying to get himself back in there, back into that game of Drift Masters. He nods to our start line Marshall Martin and says, I'm ready to go, as the anti-lag fires off the line. Come Kevin Pesur and Marco Zakouril. Pesur opting to lead first as well as the higher qualifier as he flicks that car in, waits such a long time to get on throttle, but calculated from Kevin Pesur as he puts the back bumper onto the wall. A little wobble, but he holds onto it as Kevin Pesur now works his way around, looks for that inner zone and finds it beautifully. Marco Zakouril can't be shook though. 2 Series versus 2 Series right now as they go wheel to wheel down and outside zone 4. Zakouril going to go for a dive down onto that front wheel, and he does as they fire through, drop a wheel into the puddle, then back up again they come. Look at this from Zakouril making a big dive up to the wall. Oh, and a bit sketchy from Pesur across the line.
Yeah, both these drivers, I mean, the runs are getting quicker too. We're picking up pace, we're finding the grip in a lot of these spots, and it's going to get even more interesting as we come through. But Kevin Pesur, full commitment through this whole run. Marco Zakouril not allowing him to really pull any gap, and does a great job at mirroring the angle through a lot of these zones, which is just so difficult to do in these conditions, and timing things out quite well. Marco Zakouril, I really like the way that he's almost able to anticipate, and while it's a little bit slower, you can start to train some of that muscle memory, right? It's not as fast as what it's going to be in the full grip, so you can start to go, okay, this is how this driver drives, and we're starting to see more tire smoke further back in the track.
I was just going to say, there's some parts now from that drone footage, you can see patches on the track down the back end of the track.
We've also scraped off a lot of the rubber, which is great for the rain, but that becomes very difficult in the dry.
And look at this from Kevin Pesur, decided to re-warm the tyres after the run in that chase position.
Super interesting. So the strategy now is going to get really crazy. What you do, even when you come back around, can make all the difference for your next run.
Well, Marco Zakouril sits in that lead position, ready to lead out. Kevin Pesur for a spot in the top 16 awaits for one of these drivers. You can see him battered, bruised, been in and around all of the walls and even off the track this morning in practice. As they come through the gears, Zakouril flicks that car across the track. Look at this from Kevin Pesur, though, onto the back bumper already as they fire through a nice line already from Zakouril, but they're door-to-door into that first outside zone. Zakouril takes a big chunk out of the wall. Kevin Pesur has to back off, and look at this from Zakouril into the wall quite a bit. Oh, contact as they transition through the middle of the circuit. Zakouril tries to find the limit of the circuit and the pace, and he's got some pace as he comes down the hill, and it's caught Kevin Pesur out here as he fires up the hill. Pesur's going to have to do something. He's going to have to make a big dive and take fire across the line.
Wow, Marco Zakouril, I mean, really finding the grip in this track, finding the pace in that BMW. And I think it caught Kevin Pesur a little off guard. I don't think he was expecting this to start to go this way. And Kevin kind of doesn't quite catch the timing in the transitions, and that's a lot of it. Marco Zakouril, that is a decent hit into the wall.
It's a big hit in the wall,
It is a decent hit, and even through a transition a little bit later on, you can see Kevin Pesur trying to wait, but Marco Zakouril holding that drift as long as he can, trying to almost outweight Kevin Pesur, who, you know, loses a little bit of that patience, transitions a bit early, and it catches him out for the rest of the run. So going to be interesting how the judges look at this. They're very specific where they want you to transition, how long you want to hold some of these lines. So Marco Zakouril might have been a little late on some of them.
I think he's a little shallow on this outside zone as well. Yeah, look at that. Just puts a wheel on the white line. So that grip not really playing into the favour there.
You almost want to launch out of that zone, and then, you know, you're going to have that momentum to push you back around, and it's weird. It's difficult.
I think that part of the track is drying, as we've already mentioned. I think the tough bit is that now guys are having to go full throttle there, where they've already seen other guys spin, hit the wall, make contact. So it's a game of chess.
Yeah,
what do you do? Do you go full commitment into that final outside zone, or do you play it safe and then miss the zone?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we'll see if qualifying will dictate our winner on this one with the rankings, or if there's going to be a bit of an upset. And I mean, it would be pretty massive for Marco Zakouril to take home this battle. He finished 25th last year, and that would be a great step to start to move up the rankings in our 2025 season.
Yeah, certainly would be as well, especially to take down Kevin Pesur, who currently sits in third place in the championship.
Yeah.
Pesur says, I don't think this one's as clear-cut. I don't think this one's going to be as clear-cut either.
It's really, really tough right now. Especially when you have this many zones. There's so much that you can look through, and I know judges right now really scrutinizing a lot of the zones and the entries.
Yeah, the judges are still looking at crucial points on the circuit, and I think it's the contact.
Yeah, and Kevin Pesur, kind of a straight line approach through there, and I think some of it might come down to where Marco transitioned, though, and how late that was.
Yeah.
So judges were very specific in the meeting earlier on as to where they want them to transition at what time.
Well, here we go. Slide them left for Pesur, right for Marco Zakouril. Two good friends behind the scenes. It's one vote for Zakouril. It's going to be Marco Zakouril. Takes down the man that stood on the third step on the podium in Spain. And you know what? Kevin Pesur will be happy for him. And look what it means to Marco Zakouril in to that top 16. But I want to quickly fire it over to David Kalas. David, there was some contact on the wall, but Zakouril still got the win.
Yeah, there was more than one contact on the wall during this battle. Both drivers were hitting the wall a couple of times, but everything came to the second run. On the chase position, Kevin was going basically straight through the inner zone 3, and then there was a contact in between the cars. So here you can see how he's almost going straight, not allowing completely the leader to make the transition, and that was the point which was able to push it towards Marco Zakouril.
Thank you very much, David. Yeah, that impeding the lead car was what really sealed the deal there for the judges, and just goes to show you it could have gone the other way if it wasn't for that impeding, the heavy contact with the wall. This one's going to be interesting because these two guys see head-to-head action in Spain, and it didn't quite end up the way that Naoki Nakamura would have wanted it to go.
Yeah, and Nakamura's on an absolute heater here. Even in the rain, he was crushing it. We were watching practice and chatting with a few people. I'm like, who do you got as a favorite here? And Nakamura's name came up quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly that. Nakamura looking strong in the rain, fast. He brought the style yesterday, but it goes against David Sposob once again from Poland. Nakamura to lead our Sposob for a top spot in the top 16. But we know how it ended in Spain. Can these two guys get through a battle nice and clean this time? And Sposob will be looking for redemption. Big, long handbrake drag for Nakamura as he fires in to outside zone 2. As Sposob keeps his distance, just trying to gain some proximity, trying to get that S15 onto the door, that GR86 as they fire through the middle of the circuit. Look at Nakamura though, picks up the pace, absolutely starts to drive away from Sposob, and Sposob even shortcutting the circuit, can't hang with the GR86 of Naoki Nakamura as they come up the hill, fire through to the final outside zone. Sposob on the inside, he's not even in the conversation here.
Yeah, this shows the expertise of Nakamura in the rain. You need to find such a thin line between spinning the wheels and grip, especially right now. There's this very, very fine spot where if you overspin it, the car goes absolutely nowhere, and if you underspin it, the car straightens out immediately. Yeah. And that area in between is the sweet spot between getting that car around the track, still drifting, and having a lot of grip, and Nakamura found every single bit of it through this entire run. You can see, like, we've got a little bit of smoke, a little bit of steam coming up. This track is drying out and is starting to rubber in a few spots. This is absolutely nuts. And for Sposob, not able to really find the best spot. You would think cutting the track in some spots would be a good idea, but there's not going to be any dry spots through there. So counterintuitively, it might actually be slower by cutting in a little bit more. But man, you don't know till you find out. And David Sposob found it a little too late.
He did. He found it a little too late. Now he has to work through in that lead position. This is going to be hard for Sposob to try and overturn that poor chase as he fires into that first outside zone. Look at this from Nakamura, but Nakamura, the more experienced driver, comes into this one and uses every ounce of experience of wet driving, of technical driving, of chase driving, of battle driving as he puts that bumper to bumper on the transition. Look at this from Sposob. He goes into that outside zone 4, but Nakamura can't be shaken as they come down the hill. Nakamura now opens the throttle, shallows up the angle, trying to gain some ground. As Sposob goes wide, he manages to make the transition into that second to last outside zone and across the line.
Yeah, Sposob did a great job at getting the rest of this run dialed in, knowing that he had a bit of a deficit, if you will, on that previous run in the chase. So got more aggressive, realized where Nakamura was starting to find grip in this run, and went for that same line and does a really good job. It's actually just a little bit off of the wall. You can find a bit more grip. You'll see a few drivers being a little bit more shallow without being super shallow, and there's some spots there, but you can just see how hard it is to find the spots of grip through this run. But Nakamura, I mean, doesn't take his hand off the e-brake that entire run, knows, okay, I need to use this to get through, and Sposob going really wide and into the puddle there, which is really, it's interesting. I wonder how that's going to start to play out as we get through the rest of these runs.
Yeah, certainly so. And again, for me, look at this. It's very shallow on that final outside zone. Look at the amount of smoke, though.
That whole area is dry
almost bone dry.
Yeah. If you saw no other part of the run, you would think it hadn't rained here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there we go, both guys out of the car. This time a clean battle. Sposob says, yeah, okay, there was no contact this time, and they were happy with that one. Who's going to take it through to the top 16, though? Will it be Nakamura? Will it be Sposob? Left for Nakamura, right for Sposob. One vote for Nakamura, and it is going to be Naoki Nakamura into the top 16. David Sposob says, look, I know where I went wrong. I tried my hardest, but yeah, that track just was too much, and so was Naoki Nakamura.
Yeah, great run from both competitors, and I mean, David Sposob, once he gets this dialed, once he gets this sorted, he can be so crazy behind the wheel, and next round. I'm going to say now.
There's always next round. There's always next round. Right, we go back on the line. Two heavy hitters, two big contenders, two drivers that have been in this championship for a long, long time now. It is Tor Arne Kvia to take on Benedictus Cirba, and look at this. Kvia, the higher qualifier, opting to go in that chase position first.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see that a lot right now. The higher qualifier wanting to let the other driver show him how this run's gonna go. Yeah, exactly.
Figure it out. Well, there we go, sitting there, cool, calm and collected. Little fist bump to the window for Tor Arne Kvia, the Norwegian sledgehammer.
Great personality in this sport, too.
Such a nice guy behind the scenes as well. Same as Cirba. I had a few words with Cirba earlier on, and he said, like, it's sketchy, but we're making it work and we're getting through it. Well, here we go. It's starting to get dark here once again in Finland. Could we expect another rain shower in the next 10, 15 minutes? We'll find out. Car slam into gear. Cirba looks for that start line, gets the green light to go, and he's through the gears and down onto that start line. And look at this from Kavia. He goes for that straight line approach. They fire in almost door to door as Cirba gets himself into that second outside zone and makes it work. But look at this from Kavia, super aggressive onto the door. Look at this, mirroring the angle, mirroring everything. Almost bumper to bumper contact. They make it work, and Kavia has to back out. Cirba not too deep into that outside zone 4 as they pick up the pace down the hill. A little wobble, a little bump from both guys as they flick it into that second to last outside zone. And Kavia means business, but no guy now can get up the hill.
Yeah, this is getting really, really interesting. I mean, Tor Arne Kvia, one of the best drivers we have on grid when it comes to inconsistent conditions.
Yeah.
He is so good at adapting, and I mean, the Norwegian heritage, that just goes with it, driving on ice and water and snow and pavement, anything that they can do. But really, Benedictus Cirba lays down a solid run out front, gives Tor Arne Kvia every opportunity to get into the pocket, dive right in, but we are picking up the pace here very, very quickly. I was actually just looking through to start finding some numbers to figure out how much faster these drivers are going, but I mean, I don't need Wally to tell me that these guys are really picking up the pace here. So great run from both these drivers, and yeah, it's been great to see. So let's see where we're at now. Speed-wise, yeah, we've jumped already 8 kilometers an hour through these runs, so it's great to see. I mean, I'm here for fast runs. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love the full dry runs. No one likes drifting in the wet, and these guys now are starting to get mixed conditions, though. It's going to be patchy out there. And for me, the question mark is that final outside zone, as we see Kavia now fire in this S13. They both get it put door to door as they get into this second outside zone. And look at this from Cirba, shallowing up the angle, just nosing the front of that BMW to the front wheel of that Nissan 200SX as they fire through that inner zone. No contact, no mistakes there. But look at this from Kavia. He's deeper into that outside zone for them. Cirba was as they come down the hill, and look at the pace already. But can he hang on to it? He can. He goes super wide, but puts it into that zone. Can he get up the bank? Can he get up to the wall? He can as they go door to door.
Yeah, great run there from Tor Arne Kvia, who almost used that puddle to get the car slowed down and checked up. Picked up so much speed coming through that downhill.
For me, the only question mark is there, if the tyres are drying throughout the run and the track is drying as we get further through the run, when you drop a wheel into that puddle, you then instantly cool the tyres. Are they losing a lot of grip straight away?
Yeah, I really think so. It's tough. The tyres will still get warmer and warmer throughout the run, and you kind of want them at there's a really great operating temperature that these tyres operate at, and you need them at that temp in that final zone to really get the grip in there. So you're seeing the smoke, you're seeing everything else, but it's not that really thick white smoke you normally see on a dry track. It's a little bit wispier, it's almost a little bluer, and that indicates to me the tires are not warm, they're cold, and there's no grip that they're finding there, even though the track is dry. So, man, so tough.
Look how happy these guys are just to make it round. They get out of the car and it's pure relief car. And you could see Cirba's like, how did we even make it round there? And it's so sketchy, it's slippery, it's tricky. We heard Conor Shanahan mention it with Becky earlier. It's so difficult. Here we go, decisions in, left for Cirba, right for Kavia. It's one vote for Kavia. It's going to be Tor Arne Kvia taking it through to the top 16. We lose Benedictus Cirba, and he's a little shocked by that. I think the fate of that was that final outside zone. Cirba not being able to get high on the bank, where Kavia made it work, and he got into that final outside zone. And yeah, Vernon Zwanenfeld gives me the nod and says, yeah, you're right. Look, you could be good, you could have a good proximity, but you need to be connecting the dots. You need to be getting to those zones, even as tricky as it is right now.
Yeah, it may come down to just one zone at this point, because the drivers are getting the line dialed. If there's one zone that's a massive glaring difference, as they're tallying everything up, that could be it.
Well, it certainly is, as we sit on the line and we see Oliver Randol, our championship points leader at the moment, take on a wild card. Paulius Perkio sits alongside him in his BMW E36. Well, Oliver Randol will not want to go out to a wildcard driver, a man that probably won't come to any other events here at Drift Masters in 2025, looking to try and impress the judges, to try and earn himself a spot, maybe a permanent license in Drift Masters. Paulius will want to take down the current point leader and the legend that is the Estonian driver of Oliver Randol.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on his shoulders right now. There's a lot for both, maintaining that top spot and fighting for a license.
Here we go, so off the line they come through the gears as anti-lag bangs. Oliver Randol kicks that car from left to right. He looks cool, calm and collected. He puts it right where it needs to be as Randol gets on throttle nice and earlier, but there's no shake in the Finnish wildcard. Oh, and he makes a mistake and straightens. Look at the grip. He's dialed into that car. He can barely get it sideways. The track is drying every single run, Jacob, as they fire through. Oliver Randol goes for that wide line and can't get there. It's still very, very wet on that part of the circuit. They fire down the hill. Randol deals with it as he goes wide into the puddle, flicks water in the face of his competitor as they transition up the hill. Now the power needs to be applied to that final outside zone.
Wow. Oliver Randol using every single bit of the track, whether it's a lake or grass or anything else. He's finding the edges of everything and using it. So even on that initiation, I don't know of any other driver so far today that's really flicked it out that far.
No.
Transferred so much weight over, and that is very difficult to catch into a zone that's notoriously difficult, and that is zone 2, our big long one there, facing the roller coaster in the background. And man, he does such a good job through this and almost shakes his opponent.
There's a big reinitiation twice there, though, for Paulius Perkio, and the judges won't like that. Look at that straight line. Has to handbrake in a straight line.
Well, nowhere to go at that point. You can't power through it. So that might be the deciding factor there that early on in the run. But Paulius, you still want to try and finish it out. There's always the chance. Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Is my Canadian coming out with that one?
No, did you miss the pun? Try and finish it.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even mean to. It's too early in the day already.
I know.
You've got a little jet lag setting in now. It's been 2 days. Here we go, off the line. It's going to be Oliver Randol to chase down the wildcard driver, the man that everyone's cheering for. Big flick across the circuit. for the wildcard driver as Randol deals with this. The spotters were on the radio saying, look, don't go too mad, but he'll still want to put on a show for the fan. Look at this, mirrors the angle, but he's moving nowhere right now. And they're both struggling to get out of that second outside zone. They now find the pace as they come over and into outside zone 4. And look at the line from Perkio as he puts it right where it needs to be. Fires down the hill. Can he hold on to it? He's going super wide. Big splash through the puddle. He's going to be the transitions late, and he has to stall up once again. As Randol deals with it, he goes wheel to wheel across the line.
Oh, what a great run there from Randol. I mean, very difficult to chase.
Yes.
Pauly is just not able to find where he needs to be on track, not able to find the grip, overspinning the wheels a lot through this zone. This is where having a little bit less wheel speed would actually be beneficial. You can find a bit more grip, but get into a bit of a panic mode. You just want to put the throttle down. You think the car is going to bite, and it really doesn't. But Oliver Randol in the chase, though, does so much work to keep the car in drift, fights it, and even though his car wants to take off, he knows how to launch it out. Perkio just not able to find that sweet spot. But great run from both drivers, and I don't think this is the last we're going to see of Paulius, who, hopefully keeps practicing, keeps putting it down, and we'll hopefully see him again, maybe next year, maybe in another round, who knows. But it's always great to see these wild cards. You can see there just how much water these cars are retaining coming through that puddle. Wow.
What a shot, look at this.
There it is.
And you can see the effect of the grip there as Paulius tries to put that car into that last outside zone, just can't get there, and it forces Randol down on the circuit, and they have to go wheel to wheel, and both guys laugh once again as they step out the car.
Yeah, so tough, and I mean, Oliver Randol has just a lot more experience, but
look at what it means to Randol watching the screen. Here we go, 1 vote for Randol. It's 2 votes for Randol. Randol gets the job done and moves through to the top 16 and says goodbye to the Finnish wildcard. And Randol will say, sigh of relief. Everyone says the top 32 battle is the hardest one of the day.
Yeah.
Once you're through there, you feel a bit more comfortable. You can look at top 16 and say, look, we just go battle by battle.
Yeah, it's one of those, once you're into qualifying, once you've qualified, you're like, okay, at least I'm in the show. Once you're through top 32, it's like, okay, I've got, this is it. I've gotten through this battle. If I go out now, I don't want to, but at least I made it in the top 16.
Exactly.
So,
well, there we go.
Show there.
Yep, just finishing off all of the tyres, because burnt no tyre off. As he makes his way off the circuit, we get the next battle on the line ready to go. It's going to be Clint Van Oort to take on Mika Keski-Korpi. And look at this, the higher qualifier, Keski-Korpi saying to Van Oort, you lead first.
This is spicy. This is going to be a spicy
We said
one.
this, the younger drivers in the Driftmaster stable are now playing the game. They're now saying to the older drivers, the drivers that have been around longer, they're saying to them, well, you lead first.
Yeah.
You show me what you got. You weren't the best qualifier, but I want you to make the mistake. Here we go, the Finnish fans on their feet cheering for Mika Keski-Korpi as Clint Van Oort flicks that car across the circuit. The Dutch driver will want to put on a show right here, and a little bit of redemption for Spain as he goes wide into this outside zone. And look at this, from Clint Van Oort, destroys the back end, and it forces him out of that second outside zone very, very quick. Mika Keski-Korpi dealing with it as they fire through the middle of the circuit. Clint Van Oort seems to have got this car figured out, and the grip. Mika Keski-Korpi holds back and lets Clint Van Oort fire body panels in his face as they go wide into the puddle on a cross and transition for this final outside zone as Clint Van Oort can't make it there.
Yeah, that last zone strikes again, but this really is a show of who's able to adapt to an ever-changing track condition, and Clint Van Oort does a really good job through it, just as aggressive as ever. Doesn't matter what conditions he's driving in, he's always aggressive, always just smashing body panels everywhere. I apologize to his team on his behalf.
It was a brand new car just a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know if I believe you. I think maybe the car was, but the body panels they just recycle, and there's about 100 zip ties holding that thing together right now. But look at how calm Mika Keski-Korpi is here. Just so focused, but seems relaxed, back in his seat, arms not flailing as we see Clint Van Oort just getting the weight savings there, throwing it out, going really wide, dipping a wheel in that puddle. Mika Keski-Korpi immediately on that line. You can see the moment those cars grip up, though.
As soon as it hit that bank, the car gripped up and shot him down off the bank.
Yeah. So the Dutch driver doing a really good job showing that aggression and his style, where Mika Keski-Korpi, a bit more patience in the background.
Yeah, and you know what? For me, he looked like he was driving beyond his age.
Yeah.
Because he was very calculated there. Kind
Yeah.
of stayed back, did what he needed to do, stuck to the qualifying line. What can he do in the lead position, though? They get the green light ready to go. Clint Van Oort to chase down Mika Keski-Korpi, and we know Clint Van Oort's been known for that aggressive chase. And look at the initiation, but he's on the inside now as Clint Van Oort. He's way out of sync, and he's going to have to reinitiate. He can't get himself back into formation as Keski-Korpi holds it together. Very clever driving from the young Finnish driver as he fires through. Clint Van Oort gets himself back in to where he needs to be, but Keski-Korpi can't find the outside zone. They fire down the hill as Mika Keski-Korpi puts foot to floor, tries to dial on all the angle to avoid the puddle. They transition. Keski-Korpi knows he needs to be high on the bank. Can he get there? He can, but Clint Van Oort's on the door.
Yeah, so that run was interesting. There was a couple of big mistakes from both drivers. So how the judges are going to calculate this is going to be tough. So right off the bat, Mika Keski-Korpi, great initiation. Clint Van Oort, too aggressive. Just cuts in a little bit on the inside. I don't know if he was hoping the car would float out a little bit wider, but he's stuck on the inside and he has nowhere to go because Mika Keski-Korpi holds that car in that zone so well, and Clint Van Oort just has to bide his time and wait for Mika to get all the way around so he can get back into this battle. But as we're starting to see this tack up even more, Mika just not able to really keep the car fluid in the same way that Clint did. So it's tough. I thought I knew where this was going after the first one, and then once we started, after the first zone, I was like, okay, Mika's got this one in the bag. Yeah. And then the rest of the run happened, and it starts to fall apart a bit for Keski-Korpi. And now I have no idea. I'm really not sure how this one's going to play out. So,
well, you have no idea, and I'm going to go the complete opposite to you, and I think I know how this is going to play out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that mistake from Clint Van Oort is unforgivable for the judges.
Interesting.
Because I think it all came down to his initiation. If you watch back on the initiation from Clint Van Oort, he completely mistimed the initiation.
Right.
And put himself in the middle of the circuit. And he knows it there. Look, he's talking
you
to
can hear him. He said,
Keski-Korpi
too early, too early.
And I think that is what's going to seal the fate of Clint Van Oort here. Slide him left for Van Oort, right for Mika Keski-Korpi, and it is going to be the young man from Finland taking it through to the top 16, and he knows it, and so does Van Oort. The initiation was the killer. That is what sealed the deal for Clint Van Oort. Unfortunately, we lose him in competition. You can see his team there a little dejected, you know, it's a second round, brand new car. But look, Becky's down there with Mika Keski-Korpi. The Finnish fans are on their feet for him, Becky. He must feel over the moon right now.
Absolutely, Ian. Mika, that was an incredible run. Congratulations on getting through to the top 16. Can you give us a track update? The conditions look super sketchy out there.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I was thinking that what tires should I put on, and I went to the dry ones, and that paid off. But yeah, it was so hard to drive.
On the last zone, it looks like it's starting to pick up grip and drying up out there. Is that true?
Yeah, it's fully true. I needed to brake some little bit and just full throttle, and luckily I was able to go with the zone.
Well, congratulations, and we're looking forward to seeing you drive in top 16.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, horrible is the word from Mika Keski-Korpi, and it looks horrible to drive because the final outside zone is completely dry. You hit a big puddle before you get to that final outside zone, and then the second outside zone, it looks like you can deal with it.
Yeah. It catches you off guard, too, because it changes. You're like, oh, I have all the confidence in the wet. Oh, I've got all the confidence in the dry. And it's just flipping back and forth.
Yeah, flipping backwards and forwards. Well, here we go. George Christoforou now sits on the line to lead out Dwayne McKeever.
Yeah, we're seeing it more.
Dwayne McKeever playing the game as well. But Dwayne McKeever in that borrowed car, he's probably thinking, look, I don't really know the car 110%. Yes, he's an incredible driver, but still feeling out these conditions, the conditions that are changing constantly. He said to George Christoforou from Cyprus, you lead out first. I want to see you make the mistakes, and then I won't make the mistakes in my lead run. They sit on the line, the car slam into gear, and McKeever eager to get this one underway as he comes off the line and through the gears. McKeever to chase down the Cypriot driver of George Christoforou as he fires in. Christoforou feeling confident, looking confident. The pace is picked up once again. Christoforou doing a good job in the outside zone, but leaves it a little early as he dials on all the angle. He just holds on to it as McKeever starts to find the front wheel of that BMW 1 Series. He avoids outside zone 4 as they come down the hill. The Cypriot driver now struggling, trying to panic because he knows McKeever's breathing down his neck as they fire for the final outside zone and across the line.
Yeah, it was tough to tell. It almost sounded like there might have been an issue with George's car partway through. I don't know if you heard that breaking up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll hear with the anti-lag system, but it just didn't quite sound right to me. But off the initiation, George looked as aggressive as he needed to be through that run and almost over-rotates coming out of the second outside zone. Has so much angle and barely holds on to it. And it does shake Dwayne McKeever a bit, but it's not... It rides that line of unchaseable because there was so much angle and so much stall up through that section. I'm not sure. And then missing that whole outside zone, that's really, really tough. So kind of unlike George to do that, but it may be a similar thing. We're just not aware.
Big understeer as well there.
Yeah. So
you could catch on that last zone.
That's what I'm wondering, if maybe there's a mechanical, understeer, not enough power. I don't know. It's just interesting.
It certainly is interesting. But he's going to come off the line to chase down Dwayne McKeever, who now leads him out. As McKeever flicks that S15 from left to right, puts foot to floor, and it's all JT underneath the bonnet, absolutely singing it. Look at this. Christoforou now finds himself in the middle of the circuit. The sun has come out in Finland. It's going to be unpredictable. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a roller coaster of a weekend. And look at this from McKeever, back to business as usual. Christoforou cannot get himself into this fight, and I hear the breaking up now as he comes down, and McKeever spins the car on the puddle.
Wow.
Christoforou stops instantly.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Yeah, Dwayne not happy about that at all, and rightfully so. That's such a rare thing from him. I mean, he there was a stat I heard a while ago that he'd went several years without losing a battle heads up. It was just mechanicals.
Yeah. I want to see where it all went wrong. He started to pick up the pace from outside zone 4. Watch this, he's on a really good line here. Christoforou is just, you know, constantly bleeding points in that chase position, because look at the line from McKeever on that outside zone 4. He comes down that hill absolutely flying. As McKeever fires it through, look, brakes, gets that car slowed down as much as he can, but he just can't hold on to it. As soon as he gets into that puddle, he looks across and he knows it's all over as the rain water comes through the window. He just can't slow the car down in time.
No, that's all. He used the puddle to slow the car down. That you know, the side bite in the water is what did it. But he just had so much speed through there. Like, that's the amount of speed you would need to do that in the drive. So, really, really tough.
Well, there we go. Both guys out of the car.
Now, is this a 0-0 situation, though?
Well,
that's where my head goes.
You said that because I was thinking it.
Were you?
Yeah.
That, I mean, I don't know.
Was the lead chaseable from Christoforou?
And how many zones did he miss, and did he straighten? Because there was one part where he missed it.
Did he zero out in his chase already?
Right.
Against McKeever.
Interesting.
In outside zone 2. Hey, we'll just play devil's advocate here. Hey, this is what we can do. We're commentators. We're drift fans.
Yeah, it's really easy to focus on the run that just happened, but
look at the understeer.
Yeah,
we're understeered across the finish line.
We're taking a look at what the judges are seeing right now, and they went back to the other run, and they started looking back at the other run to maybe see.
Did he zero at the final? Did Christoforou zero on the final outside zone by understeering?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. We'll get a reaction from the judges after this. The score comes in, slide them left for McKeever, right for Christoforou, and it's going to be George Christoforou gets the win, advances through to the top 16. We have to come to you, David Kalas. That was an incredibly scrappy battle. We thought it could have been 2-0. How close was it?
Yeah, this is the reason why you needed to wait a lot for our decision, because we've been like very closely checking the last corner of the first run if George was in completing himself there or not. Because if you look on the front wheels, yes, they are not in the right direction. The car is clearly going through understeer. However, if you look on the car itself, how it is moving through the corner, it is still having the angle. The chaser who's following that car can still follow that. So it is not unchaseable. It was a huge deduction. We deducted a lot of points for that, but we cannot call it incomplete. We cannot call it a 0. However, on Dwayne's run, when he spins out, he stops driving, and the car needs to stop behind him. That's unchaseable, and that is unfortunately 0, and that's how we decided.
Well, that, David, is why you, Vernon, and Matthias are judges, and I am just a mere commentator. And look at the anger in the car. Another year for Dwayne McKeever that doesn't seem to be his year. Look at that, slams the car out of gear, jumps out of the car, he knows what's going on. We go back to the line for more action. It's going to be Jakub Pushkansky to take on Juha Poitalaxko. This one means a lot to both these guys.
Yeah, this is big. There's a lot of weight here right now.
Well, there's a lot of weight on Poitalaxko's shoulders right now, because he sits here with all of the Finnish fans watching online and in attendance. And Pushkansky, for me, look, he needs some redemption from Spain. A big accident, didn't make it through the top 32. But what can he do this weekend? He looks like he's on form. He says that he likes this track. He likes these tight technical circuits when he's through the gear. As we see an onboard, as the car almost wants to go sideways straight off the start line. They fire in, big angle from the Finnish driver, Juha, as he puts it right where it needs to be. But look at the skill and the consistency of Pushkansky as he balances that GR86 right the way along that wall. Now they fire through and it's starting to dry even more, Jacob. The breeze is coming through and the track's dry, but certain parts of it are wet. They pick up the pace as they come down the hill. Both guys now nervous about over-rotating, and look at that, completely wet at that part of the circuit. Velasco dives on the door and a GR86 across the line.
Oh man, Juha so aggressive through this. I mean, he's not. There's a lot of pressure, as we said. Having, being in front of the home crowd, and I know he doesn't live that far from here either, so that's even more weight, but does not let that pressure get to him. And Kuba, man, just so precise in here, known for being such a calculated driver and going through these conditions. I mean, this is one of those situations where his rally background really starts to come into play, dealing with all these different things and knowing how to handle a car given any situation. But Juha is such an OG competitor and has dealt with all these different things and just puts his head down and drives. So when you put those two things together, you get a battle like this with these crazy conditions, patchiness, grip, traction, no traction, and just two competitors who are very hard-headed and just want this win. Solid run as we see them firing through on that beautiful shot there from our team. Man, I don't know how this is going to go on this one, man, but I'm excited.
Well, here we go. We're back on the line. Juha to lead out Pushkansky right now. They fire through. The green light goes. The pyro fires off the start line. And it's a nice initiation from Juha. The Finnish driver puts it right where it needs to be. Goes into that zone. And now look at Pushkansky. Cuts across. He's not into that outside zone. It's a very shallow line for Juha as he puts foot to floor now. Starts to light up the tyres as they look for outside zone 4 and that part of the track. Wet, dry, who knows at this point. The sun comes out once again and blesses us. But he goes super wide. Can he hold on to it? He misses the transition. He times that transition way too late. And that could be the nail in the coffin for the Finnish driver.
So tough for Juha Puttelaakso. Just so tough there because he's got so much speed in this car right off the bat. I mean, even at initiation, he's getting everything lit up. A little bit of steam coming off the tires through there. Second outside zone looks great. Gets on the throttle, almost starting to make some smoke at this point through there. And the track just dries up as he starts to move through this. Inside clip looks great. Kuba does a good job in the chase, but could be a little bit closer as Juha just trying to gap him. Trying to find and outdrive Kuba Pushkansky, which is not an easy thing to do. And unfortunately, overcommits, has too much speed coming down the hill, and another driver using that gigantic puddle, but he transitions too late.
It transitions after that zone or halfway through that zone, and you can actually see Pushkansky there transition before Juha gets it done. He's on a nice alignment and has to drop on the inside to try and find the back of that car. Look at that contact across the line.
Barely.
Bumper to bumper action, we'd love to see it.
Yeah, we do. It's such a tough battle from both these drivers. So, man, real tough for Juha on that.
And he knows, look, shakes his head at the camera and he says, I know I made a massive mistake, and the judges this weekend being super critical on that line and on everything that's going on. Left for Pushkansky, right for Juha Puttelaakso. And it's going to be one vote. It's going to be the Polish driver, Jakub Pushkansky, getting the win, advancing through that massive mistake on the outside zone for the Finnish driver. Sees him leave competition as the Polishman makes his way through. Becky is down there with Jakub Pushkansky. He must be feeling good. He loves these circuits, Becky. He must be realming right now.
Absolutely, Ian. Kuba, that was a very good battle, but it looks super difficult. Can you tell us what that was like from your point of view?
It's really extremely slippery in the first corner, then grippy in the middle part, then slippery in the mid part, and the last part is extremely grippy. It's really hard track to drive, and I'm really happy to have not so many mistakes, and let's go further.
We saw you making a little bit of contact on outside zone 5 there. Is it because the track starts to grip up and it's actually starting to dry?
Normally we drive on the third gear first part. Now we go on the second gear, which means completely different speed. Then we need to upshift, then downshift, upshift, which is not what was drifting, and this car is what made it for.
Very busy there in the cockpit, but congratulations, and we'll see you in the top 16.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Becky. Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah.
And it changes throughout. You hear Pushkansky talk about that. A little slippery on that second outside zone, then it's dry, then it's wet, then it's dry, then it's wet, and the final one completely dry. You need to downshift the car because you've got it set up for wet weather. There's a lot going on inside the car.
It's a lot, yeah. It's a dance in there. It's a full body dance between hands and feet. They look
it's
like
a barn dance.
Yeah, it's like
You've got
metal
feet and hands going everywhere.
Metal drummers just flying everything around, but yeah, wild.
It certainly is wild, and the action doesn't stop here at round 3 in Finland as we go back on the start line to Ite Seda to take on Jarkko Juhla. And it looks like Jarkko Juhla has been forced to lead first by the young man, Ite Seda. He's thrown his hat in the ring as well. Another driver saying, look, you lead first, you make that mistake first. Jarkko Juhla will have all the Finnish fans on his feet. The man who made his debut here in Drift Masters in Finland 2 years ago. I've been a regular ever since, and now a full licence holder as they fire through off that start line. You can say Ite Seda finds his way down on the inside, down on that front wheel, or that big JZX100 as he now plays with Jarkko Juhla in and out of that long second outside zone as they come firing through the middle of the circuit. Now you see it goes full dry. Look at this line though from Jarkko Juhla. He can deal with these conditions. The Finnish drivers adapt him well, and a big mistake there from Ite Seda as he hits the front wheel, and it looks like he's broken the steering. As Jarkko Juhla tries to deal with it, but it's completely upset his line.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, Ite Seda had a ton of speed coming in there, but Jarkko Juhla almost looked like he was decelling through an area he shouldn't have, so could go either way. It's really tough. I mean, big thing, we're seeing movement in the cars. It was a good hit. It was a good hit.
It was a fair hit, front wheel to front wheel as well, and that would have pulled the wheel out of Jarkko Juhla's hands. And look at this, Juhla on a very nice line here as he fires through, gets that zone dialed in, and we can see an onboard here of Ite Seda as he goes for the transition. You can see him come in. Jarkko Juhla absolutely dialed though for me. He knows, it looks like he's got it worked out. He's been watching everybody else's runs, and he knows what he needs to do.
Yeah, it looks really good in that chaser. I mean, it's such a...
Look at that, the car grips up and it fires across the circuit. Yeah, and I think he's potentially broken the steering on the front of that car.
Yeah, the only thing I'm kind of looking at though is how Jarkko is on the handbrake through there. You can see the wheels lock up. He is decelling in that area. That would be, you know, if I was on the other side of that, would be my argument.
Well, if we go back to the driver's briefing 2 days ago that me and you sat in.
We did.
You made me go to a driver's briefing.
I did. It was a good time. We had a blast.
We did have a blast, yeah. We sat there. I fell asleep, you fell asleep. We cuddled a little bit, and then we woke up and we were told to go home. That zone down, outside zone 5, is a slowing zone. So in the dry, the judges said that the guys would use angle there to slow the car. Not a big decel. It was just said that they could slow the car if they needed to. In the wet, though, that could change, and we'll probably try and speak to the judges to say, look, is it now a decel zone? Can they use the handbrake to decel? Jarkko Juhla being spoke to by one of our track marshals, as we can see Ite Seda take that car off track. Look, the alignment on the front of that car, as we can both see, yeah, look, helmet off for Ite Seda, a little shake of the head, and that will be him out of competition. We are hearing word that Ite Seda is deemed at fault by our judges for that contact.
Yeah, and I'm...
look at that, we can see it on the screen right now.
Rough go, but yeah, I'm taking a look back at the Wally system to... I can see all the speed and the angle and everything else, and you can see the moment that Ite Seda just grips up, pulls a bunch of angle out of the car, and actually picks up speed as he comes through that section. So there's a...
Yeah, you're on the Wally system here that we have with us, and the Wally system showing us, does Jarkko Juhla drastically slow?
Not really. No. He has a moment where he comes down a couple of meters per second, but just before that, Ite just is picking up speed. So you got one driver slowing down a little bit, but another one picking up speed. That gap closes very quickly.
It certainly does, and there we go. Decisions in. Ite Seda at fault, deemed unsafe to carry on the competition by our safety marshals, and Jarkko Juhla gets that win, advances through to the top 16. And he'll be happy with that, that's for sure. So will the Finnish fans as they celebrate, and we move the action on as we see Ite Seda. I mean, big upset for him.
Yeah, I mean, coming off of a podium finish on the last round, and you know, there's enough rounds here where you can have one bad round in the championship, but if you look historically, it doesn't happen often for drivers that win championships, as we have our last season champion now warming up his tires and getting real aggressive about it.
Yeah, he certainly is getting real aggressive with the man that is very, look at this, through the gears in the burnout box.
That is madness. most people throw it in second, whip it around a little bit. Not Lauri Heinonen.
Not Lauri Heinonen. He's through the gears.
I need to make sure they all work. So let's just
does
see.
every gear work? Can I light the tyres in every gear? That's what he's looking for. Here we go. The Finnish fans once again on their feet. The Lauri Heinonen flags wave in the grandstands. A start line Marshall Martin checks out the car, gives him a little fist bump there, but Lauri Heinonen, the higher qualifier, again saying to the lower qualifier, you lead first.
This will be interesting, though, because Yves Myers is on a heater and practice looked good. I don't know if I would want him to lead first on this one.
Really?
I don't know if I would have made the same choice. I would have wanted to try and spook him a little.
The form he's carrying.
He's good.
I mean, he's going up against Lauri Heinonen.
I know, and we'll see.
We'll see. You're on the fence about it. I like it.
Yves Meyer is on an absolute heater right now. Nothing against Lauri Heinonen. He's epic. He's champion. But Yves Meyer's got momentum behind him.
He certainly has got momentum behind him, but he's fighting that forward. He's feeling ever more confident in every single round. The Drift Masters, as they fire through off that start line. Look at Heinen, though. Goes to that straight line approach as they fire into the outside zone. Look at this. It's even starting to dry now. That second outside zone, smoke appearing from both cars, and both struggling to get that car to angle as they fire through. Heinen won't want to let Yves Meyer get away as they fire down the hill, and Yves Meyer starts to pour a gap on Lauri Heinonen, and he keeps it away from the puddle. And look at this from the Swiss driver as he puts it right where it needs to be, on throttle. Heinonen struggles. All right, I was wrong. You're looking at me as if to say, hey, I told you, I watched all the practice and you were at the hotel in bed.
There's a little bit of, there's confidence right now in Yves Meyer. He's coming off of a great practice, a great qualifying, and when you have the open air out front like that, you just have to drive your run. That's it. You have to worry about nothing but hitting the zones, putting the throttle down, and really running it. When you're chasing, you have so much to think about. And to me, giving Yves Meyer the open air on the first run just builds even more confidence and more momentum for it. And it looked like to me that, I mean, Lauri just gave him too much. Thought, okay, Yves a really good competitor, but he has struggled before. Maybe I'll give him a bit of gap, and I don't know if that was the right move.
That was a really nice lead line as well. For the patchy conditions,
yeah.
The only thing I can fault is he put a wheel on the no-go zone. He left outside zone 2 a little early. Well, it's now time to see what Heinen can do. The weight of the finish on his shoulders as he fires through. And look at this from Yves Meyer. Again, another straight line approach as he now looks for the side of that S13. And Heinen goes for shallow angle. And look at this from Yves Meyer. A big clutch kick in that GR Super as he puts it where it needs to be. Heinen fires through the middle of the circuit as Yves Meyer has to take to the curve to shortcut that circuit. Now they fire down to the trickiest part of the circuit. Yves Meyer's going to go wide as Heinen gets the transition time. Yves Meyer gets it wrong. Across the line go Meyer and Heinen.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I mean, Yves Meyer had one big mistake in there for sure, but does that outweigh the small mistakes that we saw from Lauri Heinonen all the way through on his chase? I mean, lead to lead, very solid for both of them. I mean, very comparable to me.
Yeah.
And what I can say, though, taking a look back over to our Race Data Labs Wally system, their judging puts a 1 point difference between the two on a combine of these runs because it is really, really close.
I would like to see that drone shot again.
Okay. What are you seeing here? What are you seeing?
Lauri
Talk me through
Heinonen,
it.
to me, from that drone shot, looked like he went way deep over that no-go zone.
Interesting. And that could be big. I mean, he was a little bit shallow through.
And is that what threw the line off from Yves Meyer in the chase position?
It could be. It could be. I mean, this is really tough. Like I said, when we get into the collective points through our system right now, all the tracking we're doing, they're putting a 1 point advantage to one of the drivers.
1 point advantage to one of the drivers. The Heinen shakes his head and he's like, what is going on? Like, no one can work out what is going on right here. Yves Meyer is on top of the world right now.
Yeah.
Incredible qualifying session yesterday, and he gets to battle the man that won the championship in 2024. Here we go, decisions in, left for Meyer, right for Heinen. Who's going to take it through? One vote for Heinen. It's going to be Lauri Heinonen. Lauri Heinonen gets a win, advances through, and Yves Meyer bows out of competition. And the judges just look over at me and say, close.
Yeah, it was close. I think just that one big mistake is a little bit more than the small mistakes that we saw from Lauri.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, Becky's down there with our 2024 champion, and the man with a target on his back. He must be feeling confident now, Becky.
Yes, Ian. Congratulations, Lauri. I mean, that must be so difficult. You can see the way you're trying to pick your initiation. What is it like for you trying to decide what move you're going to make behind the lead car?
Yeah, for me, it's the hardest decision is to go if I go on second gear or third gear, and this is like the worst condition. Like it needs to be 2.5.
When you're coming through out of zone 4 and you're heading towards that puddle, do you have to pick your line so carefully?
Yeah, it's because you can lose everything. Like on the in the end of the second zone, there's like ice, so you can lose everything there. It's so tough.
Well, we're going to be seeing you in the top 16. Congratulations, and we'll see you then, Lauri.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much. Becky coming out with some of the best questions this weekend. She's making me and you look very bad. She's asking all the right questions.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, where's the line?
We're like, oh, that's such a good question.
I know.
Wish I could ask that question. Right, we go back to the start line. It's going to be Piotr Wojciech to take on a wildcard driver, Teemu Asunma. Asunma, a wildcard this weekend. The Finnish driver sits on the line taking on a man that is decorated in championships and trophies.
Piotr deciding to chase on this one too, so another interesting one. I mean, I
think this is playing into the tricky conditions and making the higher qualifiers say, I don't want to lead first.
Let them make the mistake, and then I know what I need to do after.
Then the spotters will tell me, he made the mistake here. Okay, you see it and you dealt with it, but now you need to not do this.
Yeah, exactly. And coming off of a big hit in a previous round, how's that going to affect Piotr as he comes across the line?
Well, here we go, through the gears, down they come for initiation as the Asunma fires in that BMW E46, and Wojciech takes the option to shallow up the angle, stays with him, keeps it cool, calm, collected. So far, a nice lead line for Asunma, though, as he puts that car right where it needs to be, and now Wojciech starts to apply the pressure. He knows it's almost full dry, tags the wall. Oh, look at that, bumper to bumper, Wojciech back in the moment. Oh, and he spins the car. That is where Lauri Heinonen was talking about.
Yeah, and Piotr Vincek, he's so smart. You can see he actually comes back a little bit before that transition just to see what our lead driver is going to end up doing through it. So very, very smart there. Piotr just playing the waiting game with Teemu to see if he's going to make a mistake, where he does. But I like that it wasn't at any point an inactive chase. You know, Vincek was in it throughout the entire thing. Right on the door, makes those transitions look good, but see how smart he plays it. Pulls in a little bit, and then through here, you can see he just delays.
He can see that Asunma's going wide.
Yeah, so smart. But he kind of follows him there, and then at the last minute backs off. See, right there.
Handbrakes.
Knows what's about to happen. Oh, man, so smart. But yeah, it's glass through that section. You're picking up so much speed now because the rest of the track is dry.
Well, that part is completely wet because it's in the valley between two parts, and it doesn't look, on the broadcast, it looks flat.
It's not. There's a solid, what do you say, a meter and a bit
of elevation. Metric system?
I can do both. You just let me know what you need.
A metric system?
Yeah. How many hands was it?
It's a few thumbnails.
There you go.
There we go. Well, we're off the line through the gears. It's going to be Wojciech to lead out somewhere as he fires in. Nice line so far into that first outside zone. Look at this Wojciech on the foot brake, working the back end of that A90 Supra into the outside zone, and it's almost full drive through 90% of the run at the moment as Wojciech goes nice and deep to outside zone 4, fires the car down, but now he knows he needs to be careful, and he is very careful as Wojciech puts it right where it needs to be, opens up the throttle, puts a Supra to the wall and across the line.
That might have been the best lead run we've seen so far.
Yeah.
He's got this nailed. He's got the car completely dialed in, very confident in the driving. You can tell when drivers have some hesitation or a tendency to hold back a little bit because they think that's going to dry up or be a little bit slicker there. But Piotr just knows inherently at this point exactly where it needs to be, and that is kind of that benefit of chasing first. So you really have a great understanding of it, and then now we're seeing the tires light up. And this is helping a lot too with that last zone. Although the tires do cool off when they come through the wet section in the middle, they're still retaining enough heat that when they get into the last zone, they can push the car around it. So it's just getting more dynamic. The line is changing a little bit, and the driving's just getting more and more ridiculous.
So. It certainly is. More aggression you can see now coming through for the drivers, where they've been very tentative on those wet runs earlier on in practice and the first kind of runs in top 32. These guys now really starting to push the envelope. And look at this, the sun breaks through the clouds here in Finland, and we could be blessed with a dry top 16, which would be electric here in Finland, where we see door action.
Just had to say it.
Wojciech says, well done, that was a good battle. And for a Sunma, that would be a dream battle for him to battle Piotr Wojciech. Well, here we go. He can slide him left for Wojciech, and it is unanimous. Piotr Wojciech gets the win, advances through into the top 16, and he'll be happy with that result. That is for sure.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, for Timo, this is massive. This is absolutely massive to be able to compete against a driver like that, and in a lot of ways hold your own.
Yeah.
Not completely blown out of the water. Obviously had a big mistake, but that was kind of it. He was still in the battle all the way through, and that's got to be such a cool moment, one that he'll never forget.
Oh,
but
he'll never forget that, yeah.
Hopefully compete to take him down one of these days.
I dream about those battles in my head.
Do you?
Yeah, me and Peter, top 16.
I mean,
head to head. I beat him, obviously.
Yeah, of course. That's how it works in a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just win everything. And it's like a who's who of drifting as well. It's not just like one championship.
No, you just win all the championships.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah. Oh, to be in your head for a day, Ian.
No one wants to be there. It's a scary place. We go back on the line. Jakob Kroll to take on Tor Nielsen, two guys that are incredible drivers, but one man that's very calculated. Jakob Kroll is a very good calculated line driver, a Polish driver that's used to these walled circuits. And Tor Nielsen, well, a bit of a wild entity.
Yeah, the Norwegians, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, the Nordic drivers that are known for flair, style, and super aggression. Look at this as Jakob Kroll punches. He had got the Ray-Bans on, got the shades on in the car, just in case it gets a little sunny out there. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the sun is coming out.
The sun is coming out. Well, there we go. Off the line they go. Tor Nielsen being asked to lead once again. The higher driver, the higher qualifier of Jakob Kroll throws the gauntlet to Tor Nielsen. Nielsen puts it back in. They saw it in to that second outside zone. Both cars now full tilt as they fire through, and a big mistake there from Jakob Kroll as he has to wait for that transition, and he's struggling with the grip, what it looks like here, and that's a massive mistake for Jakob Kroll as they fire down the hill. Nielsen deals with the wet part of the circuit as he gets that transition time perfectly and still manages to make that final zone.
Yeah, great job from Tor Nielsen, who makes it look easy going through that run. A bit of a hesitation as he got towards the puddle. I think all the drivers now know, don't go into that. You're going to drop tire temps like crazy. It's going to make it very difficult to get through the rest of the run. But Jakob Kroll just looked like he just wanted to be more aggressive and couldn't figure out the exact time to do it. There's a lot of great signs here of him wanting to really push the pace, get into the side of Tor Nielsen's car, and just isn't able to figure out the exact moment to do that. And that's got to be very frustrating as a driver, because Oran had a very fluid, smooth run out front, good pace through it. We're seeing here not a lot of corrections. I mean, grabs the e-brake through the transition to settle the car out, but he's not making these wild dynamic changes all the way through. And Jakob Kroll just the timing, I think, is a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest mistake there, coming down off that wall into outside zone 5. I think that Kroll made a huge mistake. He found himself on the middle of the circuit, almost straightens out, has to reinitiate and try and get back onto the Tor Nielsen. When it's knocked around, it's going to be Kroll to lead out Nielsen now in the second half of the run. Spotting the top 16 for one of these drivers, awaits as they fire through the gears and down. And look at this from Nielsen, times it perfectly when he put the front wheel onto the door on S15, and he does as they go wheel to wheel. And now Nielsen struggling in that chase position as Jakob Kroll puts foot down, tries to fire away, tries to find the walls, and he does. And will he make the same mistake again? He doesn't. And look at this, picks up a lot of pace, puts the car on angle, gets the transition done, and Nielsen now struggling to find the side of that carbon Kevlar S15.
Yeah, that was interesting. It almost looked like Jakob Kroll had significantly less speed through this run, and Tor Nielsen is able to find a lot more grip in it. Now, we're seeing a good amount of smoke from both drivers, but to me, it seemed like Jakob Kroll was just maybe 10 kilometers an hour slower consistently through it, and Tor Nielsen didn't quite know how to deal with it, really fighting to hold the car back, and that's how I saw it. There's nothing wrong with that from Jakob Kroll. Get the line down, get the angle down, and if you take some speed out of the car, then that's up to the chase driver to really do it, because it was very chaseable. But yeah, Tor Nielsen just not able to hold that soarer back is really what it felt like. Both drivers wanting to be more aggressive in the chase and just not quite sure how to do it.
Yeah, well, looking back at the replay of that, you can see a few mistakes creep in there for Jakob Kroll in that lead position. I wonder if that could seal it, because the lead run, for me, from Tor Nielsen was a lot stronger. Jakob Kroll, not sure what's going on there. I don't know whether these guys have turned those cars up to 100, dialed in a lot of grip, expecting it to be a lot slicker, a lot slipperier than what they assumed, and now it's almost full dry. Both guys out of the car, waiting for the result to drop in on the big screen. Who's going to take it through to the top 16? Item left for Nielsen, right for Jakob Kroll, and it's one vote for Nielsen. That's 2 votes for Tor Nielsen. Tor Nielsen gets the win, advances through to the top 16 as the Polishman Jakob Kroll once again bows out of competition, and he says congratulations to Nielsen. And Nielsen, a Norwegian driver, dealing with the weather conditions better than Jakob Kroll. Becky's with Arne Nielsen. He just about made it through in qualifying, Becky, but now he looks like he's back on form.
Yes, absolutely, Ian. It's actually a brilliant run there from Arne Nielsen. Arne, obviously we've given the drivers the choice of chase and lead now. Were you expecting him to go into the chase position for this top 32 run?
Yeah, so I saw he chose the chase position, and I figured I'd just do my lead as I used to. I saw the track starting to dry really up on the live stream before I went out, because that's the gear strategy. So I went as it was a full dry run, went a little bit wide after out of zone 5, but I managed to save it and into the last corner. And my chase was not the best, but it was really tricky conditions, and it's very grippy setup now with the wet. So just really happy, it's a relief.
It feels like you're doing a lot of dancing inside the car to keep it on the line.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, congratulations, you're into top 16 and we'll see you there.
Thank you so much.
Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, and yeah, it is a dance, and you can tell it's a dance, and look at that. And it was a dance for Arne Nielsen, who danced himself into the top 16, taking out Jakob Kroll. Jakob Kroll has to go away and reevaluate, come back round 4 in Mondello Park in Ireland in just a few weeks' time. As we go back to the start line to this one, I've been looking forward to this one. This is one of them other battles that I've been quite excited to see. It's going to be Jack Shanahan to take on Jason Benet, the Frenchman, the man that I put a lot of bets on in Spain.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier as what could be one of the most damaging battles, just because both of them like to be very aggressive, and it might come down to which car is able to actually cross the line at the end of these runs, because they both really like dooring the other driver all the way through. They are intimidating drivers.
They certainly are. Yeah. And Jason Benet, a point to prove here at Drift Masters. He's going to go against Jack Shanahan, a man that's been so close to a championship before, but yet to get there as he fires that GT86 across the circuit. Two JZ Power GT86s go head-to-head on this circuit. And this one, machine on machine, is just man versus man right now. Who has got the setup right? Who has got the skill as they fire through the middle of the circuit? Shanahan on an absolute blinder of a lead run, but there's no shaking the Frenchman as he transitions down the hill. He goes for that little shortcut, trying to gain that ground, back up again on Jack Shanahan as they both go head-to-head across the line.
Man, solid run. Yeah, that was great. And they kept it clean. Shockingly, they kept it clean. There wasn't, I mean, they might have touched at one point, but there wasn't any major contact. But Jack Shanahan has done so much homework, or he's just instinctually such an amazing driver. When we get into that middle section where the big puddle is, he takes a different line. He comes out of his zone just a touch early to kind of shoot himself across it and kind of avoids as much of the wet parts of the track as possible. And that's one of those strategic things where you go, I might lose a little bit here, but it's going to make up for it, and it's going to cut down on the likelihood that I'm going to create an issue. Right there, it's a pretty tight line through that section, but now the tires don't cool off. He doesn't touch any wet part of the track and keeps it. But Jason Benet does not let Jack Shanahan get away at any point in this run. He is right there the whole time, and that is not an easy thing to do, especially with a Shanahan who's choosing what is a new line for this set of runs.
Yeah, it makes that last transition very, very snappy, and Shanahan dealt with it. Can Jason Benet copy? Well, we're going to find out. They roar through the gears and hammer down onto that start line as they fire through into that second outside turn. Benet touches the wall, it upsets him. You see Shanahan back out a little bit. Benet touches the wall once again, and it's completely upset his line. As Benet tries to deal with it, Shanahan sticks it to the rear quarter as they fire through. Down they come towards the puddle. Benet goes a little wider. Shanahan times it perfectly in to that second to last outside zone and across the line, rear wheel to front wheel.
Yeah, I always love how Jack Shanahan at the very end of a run will always make sure he's as close to that car as physically possible.
Stand still formally on the run.
I mean, I don't know if it sways anything, but why not have a great final impression? But Jason Benet just trying to outrun Jack Shanahan, gets into the wall twice there, and Jack just on a solid run, not even phased, doesn't make any corrections, just watch Jason Benet do it, and the transition from the Irish driver is just phenomenal. But shouts out to Jason Benet for being that aggressive in the lead, trying to really push the pace on this run, put it in the wall, stays into it, hits the wall again, stays into it, tries to go wide, tries to shake Jack Shanahan off in the chase. But I mean, that's what you needed to do. Jason Benet did exactly what he needed to do, just a touch too aggressive. Once Jason Benet figures out how to drive like that, but about 5% back, he is going to be unbeatable because he's got all the makings of an incredible driver. It's just fighting himself just a little bit. But at this level, at this event, that little bit extra is just a bit too much.
Jason Benet said, I touched the wall. God, it was too hot. Came in there too hot. Willoughby goes. Decisions in. Slide him left for Shanahan, right for Benet. There's going to be 1 vote for Shanahan. It's 2 votes for Jack Shanahan. Jack Shanahan gets the win, advances through to the top 16. And Jason Benet unfortunately bows out of competition.
Yeah, so tough, so tough. A couple of small mistakes there, into the wall, a little too much speed, but
I think if that would have been closer, if it would have been no contact with the wall, that would have been potentially a 1 more time battle.
Yeah, I think so. I agree, 100%. It easily could have gone 1 more time as we see the next Shanahan pulling up to the line and, you know, taking into that lead position.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, Conor Shanahan pulls to the line to lead out Conor Falvey, and this one is one we talked about earlier. It's one that Conor spoke about with Becky down there at the pre-show, saying, look, I know what it's like to be Conor Falvey. I know what it's like to have that hunger, to take down the top guys, to prove to everyone that you can do it. You can be the guy that takes down the big names and prove yourself in this championship. But Shanahan still looking for a little bit of redemption, still trying to hunt down that second championship. And look at this for Falvey, the aggression slams that S15 into gear, and they know it's almost a full dry circuit right now. That information fed back to them from the spotters as they come off the line. Falvey creeping already, he won't want to let Shanahan get away as they roar through the gears. Shanahan flicks that GT86 to angle, and Falvey can't be shaken as they get in to that second outside zone. Look at the aggression from Conor Falvey, very shallow angle onto the front wheel. That GT86 he goes as they fire through the middle of the circuit. Shanahan on a blinder right now, deep into outside zone 4. They come down the hill and Shanahan pulls a gap on Falvey, but he keeps it clean. Both guys transition, mirror image, door to door. Falvey pushes Shanahan across the line.
Holy Conor Falvey. I mean, I think he felt like he was behind the 8 ball just a little bit through the mid part of that run, and then just decided, I'm going to make up for it here at the end. So let's get back to the start on this incredible run that's going to round out our top 32. This battle is nuts. Conor Shanahan gets right in there. Look at Conor Falvey, though, just hunting him down. E-brake, trying to get the car in, noses it in, tries to get the back end around, but Conor Shanahan adding angle as he goes to the second outside zone, even more angle through the inside clip than Conor Falvey times things so well as we see Shanahan just very relaxed as Conor Falvey appears in that side window, hunting down one of his fellow men from Cork. Man, what a nuts run. Look at Conor. Knows that he's getting gapped, dives in, and then that transition right before the end is absolutely everything from Conor Falvey. So good. Oh man, it's incredible that one tiny road in the middle of nowhere, Ireland, has produced some of the greatest drivers of all time, and we're seeing it again. Wow. So nuts.
It's crazy to see 2 young guys this talented go door to door, head to head. Will we go? It's going to be Falvey to lead out Shanahan. Shanahan's going to want to repay the favour right now, put some tyre marks on the side of that carbon Kevlar S15 as Falvey fires into that second outside zone. Once again, shallows up that angle, trying to drive away from Conor Shanahan, but there won't be no shaking. The 2023 champion as they fire through and they look for that outside zone. 2 good lead lines so far, but look at the transition from Shanahan. It was bumper to bumper as they figure it out on both transitions. Second to last outside zone, door to door across the line. Are you kidding me?
Conor's like, you want to tap my door? Guess what's happening to you? So good. So good from both of these drivers. Conor Falvey set him in that car, looks a little bit loose, really dynamic, trying to find every single little bit of it. And Conor Shanahan, that car, very stable. So able to get into the pocket, super controlled through the entire run. Conor Falvey just trying to get away, trying to really push that pace, trying to pick up as much speed as he can. But Conor Shanahan is not letting him go anywhere, reeling him in at every turn, while Conor Falvey not even phased a little bit, running his race out in the lead, not worried about what's behind him, while Conor Shanahan just lurks there. Every transition, he's right next to him, times it out perfectly, and as we come through these final zones here, Conor Shanahan puts on that exclamation point and really gets into the door of the fellow man from Cork. Wow, just great. And this is top 32. That could have been a finals battle any day of the week.
Yeah, I was just thinking that could have been a finals battle any day of the week. And these 2 guys putting on a show right here at round 3 in Finland as we see the slow-mo shots of Shanahan hunting down Falvey across the circuit. The final battle of our top 32 and a pretty clean top 32. We was expecting some big crashes, some frills and some spills. We got some frills. We didn't get too many spills. We just got door-on-door action. 2 guys out of the car, slide them left for Shanahan, right for Falvey. It's 1 vote for Shanahan. It's going to be Conor Shanahan making it through to the top 16. Unfortunately, we lose Conor Falvey, but what a drive from that young man. The future of Irish drifting stands tall, but Shanahan knows what's coming up in top 32, and it will be a Shanahan battle once again in top 32.
Wow.
An incredible top 32 rounded out there. Becky's with Conor Shanahan. He must be feeling good, but he knows what's coming up, Becky.
Well, you managed to get the driest battle of top 32. That was incredible. Can you tell us from your point of view what that was like to battle somebody that you've literally watched grow up?
Yeah, I got beat by one kid last weekend, and I was really nervous it was going to happen again, but I really have credit for this kid. He's working so hard, and he reminds me a lot of my own journey, so it motivates me when there's people like this in the sport, and he has a huge future for Irish drifting. So, but top 16, you all experienced the Shanahan final here 2 years ago, and I'm sure the top 16 battle is going to even be more nuts.
Well, you took the question right out of my mouth. I was like, well, you've had this battle, now you're going up against your brother in top 16, and we always know that's fireworks.
Yeah, it sucks that we meet top 16. I thought for sure we were going to be, a little bit different place in the bracket, but I got to run my own game now. We're brothers at the end of the day, but when the helmet goes on, we both want to be as best we can. So you're in for a treat. Get the phones out. There could be a wreck, or it could be the best battle you'll ever see.
Well, that's not quite what we want to see. We want to see a nice, clean battle over here, Conor. Can you give us an update on the track conditions? You're the last car to leave in top 32. Let us know what it might be like for top 16.
Yeah, my spotter, Matt's done a really good job at explaining the track as best he could. And it's crazy that me and Jack fight at the top level of this sport, but right after the run, our radios are connected in the car, and he basically gave me a walk through the whole run. So it's really cool that we can do that, and he has that respect for me to make sure that we have the battle in top 16. And yeah, it was really hard. It was, the GT86, you're really deep in the wall compared to any other car. So I feel like, yeah, it's dry, but then we go almost a foot deeper. So you're kind of playing with fire of making sure that you have enough traction to drive out of the wall again. But overall, I hope that it stays like this. It's drying up for sure, and top 16 will be good.
Well, congratulations, Conor. A solid run, and we'll see you in the top 16. Guys, well, there you have it. There's all our cars set for our top 16. What do you think?
I don't know what to think, Becky, to be quite honest with you. All I know is that I want to see the battle tree for top 16.
Yeah,
because
it's going to be nuts.
We have it right in front of us right now, and here it is. This is what we've got to look forward to when we come back for top 16. James Dean, Juha Rintanen. Pavel Korpulinski versus Zakouril. Nakamura versus
Tor Arne
Kvia.
Oh.
Randol versus Keski-Korpi. George Christoforou versus Pushkansky. Jarkko Juhla versus Heinen. We're going to lose a Finnish driver and a Finnish driver head-to-head there. Wycheck versus Nielsen, and Shanahan versus Shanahan. Top 16 is going to be wild. The track, fingers crossed, will stay dry. It looks like there's some break in the clouds. The weather looks like it's dying out. Becky, it's almost time for a little break before we come back for top 32.
Absolutely, guys. I'm just taking a little look around, checking the track to see what it's going to be like for our top 16. But we've got some absolutely massive battles for you coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing the Shanahan Showdown. Well, you're going to have to join us at local time 4:50. That's at 4:50, so make sure you get a drink, strap yourselves in. You're not going to want to miss this, and we'll see you then.